Hi folks, Blair here from BPS. This is actually video number 2 of a couple of videos we've done for helping people who are new to surfing, or specifically also helping non-surfing parents help their kids learn to surf. And this one is literally all about giving some tips for pushing children onto the waves to help them get the best start. So tip number 1, in my opinion, is when pushing your child onto the wave, we recommend you push the tail of the board rather than their legs. This gives you a solid object to push on, and you can push with the heel of your hand. But if pushing the child's legs on the surfboard works, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Tip number 2 is, before you give them a push, make sure they're balanced on the board. I mentioned this in video 1, but if they're too far forward, the board's going to nosedive. If they're too far back, it'll banana like that, and it sort of won't move through the water very well. And then obviously you want to make sure they're balanced side to side as well. If they're not balanced, you're going to give them a nice gentle little push. Everything's going to be right, except your balance is going to be wrong, and they'll probably fall off. Tip number 3, when you're pushing, try and sort of gently accelerate the board. So what I mean by that is, over the space of about a foot, you sort of gently start pushing it. And it's one of those things where I think sometimes less is more. If you push too hard, they are likely to fall off. Sometimes you can give it a big shove and they even move on the surfboard. So yeah, as I say, often less is more. Start out less pushing, maybe move to a little bit more pushing. Tip number 4, super important, keep the board level. So what I mean by that is, as you're pushing it through the water, you want to make sure the board is level. If it's going down like that and you push it, you're basically pushing the nose underneath the water. The board will nosedive and the child will fall off, and they don't generally enjoy that. So yeah, that's one of the things, and that's one of the reasons why I sort of personally push the tail of the surfboard, because that way, if you feel that it's like that a little bit, you can actually, even at the last second, you can sort of just do a little bit of that with your hand. Tip number 5, now this is last but by no means least, watch the leash. As you're pushing, the leash has a nasty habit of wrapping itself around your hand or around your forearm. Surfer takes off, board takes off, all that weight, and then suddenly the leash decides that it's going to stop, and the surfer falls off, and you have a sore hand or a sore forearm. So you definitely want to watch that. So there you go. So that's 5 things. So I recommend pushing the tail of the board. Make sure the surfer is balanced front to back and side to side. Gently accelerate as you're pushing, don't push too hard. Keep the board level as you're pushing it. Make sure it's not too far down, not too far up, and then watch out for that leash so it doesn't bite you. Cheers.